with liberty and justice for all.
Will you please remain standing for a moment of silence for those who are defending our freedom, for those who have lost their lives in doing so, and especially for the two NYPD officers who lost their lives tragically. Thank you. I have a presentation to make to some gentlemen to whom I am very proud of. This year there was a, can you hear me? Can you hear me now? There was a devastating snowstorm up in Erie County that left this county paralyzed. And calls for help came out for any assistance that could be given to them, firemetically, police department, emergency services of any kind. And without hesitation, our Suffern Fire Department answered that call. And there are some gentlemen here tonight who spent countless hours up there, who put aside their Thanksgiving dinner with their families and went to the call to help others. And I think that's just a testament to this village and what we stand for, and that we are there for anyone who is in need of our assistance. So I wanted to recognize you gentlemen tonight. I also have to tell the story of two gentlemen in particular. On the way back, one of our trucks had a little mishap, and two of our firefighters, it was the night before Thanksgiving, or 2 nights before, correct? 2 nights before Thanksgiving? We didn't know how we were going to get them off the thruway because now they're in the middle of another snowstorm coming down, and we don't know how we're going to get them back here, and we don't know how we're going to get the truck off the thruway. And our entire team of firefighters that went up stayed with this truck. It was their baby, and they weren't leaving it there. Found someone to tow it in, and 2 of those firefighters stayed with that truck, knowing that there was a possibility that they would not get home for Thanksgiving dinner with their families. So would those 2 gentlemen please stand up? To all of you, I say thank you. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for being on call 24 hours a day to assure the safety of our residents. We really are very fortunate to have all of you. So would Andrew Alvarado please come up? Thank you so much. Daniel Delate? Elkin Escobar? No, it's not. We'll get that fixed. Alex Harper. Andrew Markunas. You'll notice the last name happens to be similar to someone on the board. I'm sure. Dad, very proud. Thank you so much, Andrew. Joseph Nyan. Nick St. Jacques. Thank you so much. And last but not least, but I don't think I saw him here, Matt Wilson. Oh, there you are. And Matt served as the officer in charge up there. And Matt, thank you so much. You certainly have a wonderful, wonderful group of guys that serve this village well. So thank you for all that you do. You guys could go if you want. You don't have to stay for the whole meeting. Ed, you can't go. You have to stay. Sorry.
All right.
They like us? They like us? Yeah. Okay, moving along, we will set the dates for the February meetings. The workshop will be Wednesday, January 28th at 7 p.m., and the board meeting will be Monday, February 2nd at 7:30. I'd like to start by wishing you all a very happy and healthy new year. I hope that all your holidays were good ones. We will begin with the continuation of the public hearing for 3-hour parking on Lafayette Avenue. If you would like to speak, please come up to the microphone and state your name and address. Okay, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Okay, I would need a motion to adopt the 3-hour parking on Lafayette Avenue. Okay, there is no motion, so it does not pass.
Mayor,
Yes,
just
sure.
some comment. I think part of the reason why there's not a motion tonight, I would think it not be too bad of an idea to table it rather than simply reject it out of hand tonight, but finding out during the workshop that the chamber is not for this, that there might be some residents who have indicated support for it, but, and no one came to speak on it at all. I mean, I'll do what the board, wishes to do, but I would make a motion to table to consider it at the next meeting.
Okay, what would you like us to do in the meantime, Mr. Byrne, to further this? Is there anything in particular?
Well, I think there can be perhaps a little more discussion. I'd like to speak to some people at the chamber and see what their objection is to it.
Okay.
And they did not come to speak, I don't think, at any of the initial hearing or today, right? I mean, they weren't here at the prior.
No, I don't think so.
But you did indicate at the workshop that you understood that they did not favor it.
Yes.
So like I said, I will go with whatever the board chooses to do, but I just think that maybe a little more information in terms of, I am curious to see why the chamber opposes it. So-
Okay, so we could have a motion to continue the public hearing.
Well, can we close the public
do you
hearing,
want-
which I think we've already done? Can
Well,
we just move to table
You're
them?
going to take new information.
Yeah, if we're going to take new
Okay.
information,
Then I would move to continue the public hearing to the next meeting.
okay. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Okay, public hearing, parking on Prairie Avenue. Chief?
Okay, thank you, Mayor and Board. During our workshop, we explained very briefly in regards to what this is. It's the parking situation in the southwest corner of Prairie at the intersection with South Street. The issue is it's very difficult to make a turn onto South Street from Prairie. We were looking for a 50-foot no parking here to corner sign on the southwest corner after speaking to residents on Southern Prairie Avenue. Very short distance. It's actually much safer for the emergency services, particularly a fire truck, that would definitely not be able to make that turn with some of the trucks that are parked in there as well during the daytime.
Thank you, Chief. Would anybody like to speak? Okay, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the public hearing is closed. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion to
Accept.
adopt the local law, correct, Ed?
Yes, motion to adopt the local law.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Morris?
Aye.
Mr. Hagen?
Yes.
Mr. Markunas?
Yes.
Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
And I vote yes, motion is carried.
Local law number 1, Charlie.
I know. Okay, our next hearing is the public hearing for community development. Fred Rella?
Good evening, Board, and Happy New Year to all of you.
every year Rockland County is given so much money through HUD, Housing and Urban Development, and it goes to the Office of Rockland County Community Development. And then it's that organization's group to disseminate that money to varying villages and municipalities on an award basis through an application. And the Village of Suffern puts in each and every year for it. And you can either be awarded some monies or you can be denied some monies. Or you can be given a portion of what you actually put in for. For the past 5 years, we put in for what was known as the Downtown Revitalization Program, or the Facade Program, and we were awarded $457,000, in which we are still expensing those funds, and it'll take a couple years in order to actually complete that program. This year, we're going to be deviating off of that program, and we're going to be requesting to be putting in sidewalks on Orange Avenue from Oliver Street on down to what's referred to as the Point, which is actually the junction of Orange Avenue and Washington Avenue. The curbs, if you drive along there, they're basically are almost non-existent. They've eroded away to almost nothing. Also, it would be replacement of the aprons, which is the driveway entrances, as well as the sidewalk. The cost of this project is approximately $100,000, which is what we'll be requesting from community development. Part of the application process is that the village needs to contribute 10% at a minimum. So the total cost of the project will be $110,000. Once again, the grant being $100,000, the village contributing $10,000. If we get awarded $50,000, though only a portion of it, then we would only have to contribute, for example, $5,000. Okay, so it's that sliding scale. So that's basically the program.
Thank you. Would anybody like to speak? Okay, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Do I have a motion on the resolution?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Morris?
Yes.
Mr. Hagen?
Yes.
Mr. Markunas?
Yes.
Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
And I vote yes, motion is carried.
That's resolution number 1.
One or two?
1.
Oh,
Which is
let's start.
To bring it here.
Okay, Fire Department, Mike Stark, are you here? No report. No report, okay, thank you. Culture and Recreation, Kathy Mills.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Village Board. Happy New Year to you all. A few things that we have coming up for the month of January. We have LEAD this Friday night from 8 to 11 at the Community Center. We've got a Recreation Board meeting on Thursday, January 8th at 7 p.m. in the Community Room. I wanted to give you a schedule for all the senior events for the year so everybody's familiar with them. Senior Chair Yoga we'll be having every Friday at 10 a.m. in the Community Center. The time has changed. It was originally at 9:30 at the last Friday, but now it's every Friday at 10 a.m. We have a new senior nutrition program. We're going to have that on the first Tuesday of every month, and that's going to be at 11 to 12 in the community room upstairs. I have some flyers up in the front, too, for anybody that would like to take some. The Senior Stay Fit program, we have every Monday, and that is from 11 to 1, and then 4 to 6. We have changed the hours for Stay Fit from 4 to 6, from 4 to 7. So now it will be ending at 6 o'clock on Mondays. And then we also have Senior Stay Fit program every Thursday from 9 to 11 a.m., and then 4 to 6 p.m. And then our senior meeting schedule for 2015 at the Community Center, the times are 12 to 3. On the second and the fourth Tuesday of every month is the Round Post Senior Meeting at the Community Center. And then on the first and third Wednesday of every month, it's the Suffern Senior Meetings. So please feel free to attend any of the meetings that you'd like. Another event that's coming up on Monday, January 19th, Chabad will be having a fundraiser at the Community Center. It's Martin Luther King Day. Children are out of school that day, so there'll be a fundraiser. We're going to be having a senior movie on January 29th. It's a Thursday, and the movie will be This Is Where I Leave You. This is one of the films that was filmed by Jason Bateman, and it was, there's a few scenes from Good Samaritan Hospital up there, so for anyone that hasn't seen it, it's a great movie to see, and you see Good Samaritan Hospital in it. And then on Friday, January 30th, We have Family Fun Night, and that will be at 7 o'clock at the community center. And in the workshop, I handed all of you a schedule. These are not set in stone. I was looking for feedback from you on any of the dates. We really went by the last couple of years, very consistent with the dates. There are a few comments that I wanted you to see. It's some of the issues are about the pool, when we'll be opening this year, and a few other items. So if you could look through them, and then before we start setting up the calendar, for the summer calendar for the village, we'd like to have that by April to be able to publish before May. So we really do, that's when we start getting all the events in. So I think that's it. I don't know if you had a chance to look at it yet. If there's any questions that you have, please feel free to reach me.
Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you.
The grant writer we heard from already. We will go to the village attorney.
Thank you. In September, October, and November, the board held a public hearing on a taxi license application of Beansy Rosa doing business as Limitless Taxi. So the hearing was closed in November. I got a sense of essentially what the board was thinking. I prepared a draft resolution and circulated it to the board, and rather than read the whole thing, I'll just take a couple minutes and paraphrase it. The code, by the way, has specific requirements for a taxi application as well as findings that the board has to make, and I'll refer to that. During the hearing, the applicant represented that she had spoken to the taxi licensees in the village and that they basically said, if you get approved, we'll go with you, and she stated she didn't have written agreements with them, but they approved of it. She was also requested to provide the proposed fee structure to the Board of Trustees in writing, but that did not occur, and the applicant did not appear at the continued public hearing on October 14th or November 14th. At the November 10th. At the November 10th hearing, Deborah Tapp of Deborah's Taxi stated that the applicant had not contacted her regarding the proposed service and that she didn't believe that there was any need for such a service, and she dispatched the taxis herself. Also, Jean Florell of Brothers Taxi stated that the applicant hadn't contacted him and that they wouldn't be interested in any such service. The proposed decision finds that under the definitions in the code, the service proposed requires a license under the taxi provisions of the village code. The decision reiterates that a licensee has to provide specific information as required in the code, and that the applicant failed to provide that or failed to provide additional information that was requested. The actual application was not completely filled out, despite the fact that the village clerk had repeatedly asked for that. Under the village code, the Board of Trustees may approve a taxi license only if the board finds the applicant is of good moral character, is capable of providing taxi service in a safe and efficient manner, and is willing and able to comply with all the requirements and provisions of the chapter. So the proposed decision states that the board finds that the applicant has not demonstrated she's an applicant of good moral character, is capable of providing taxi services in a safe and efficient manner, and is willing and able to comply with all the other requirements and provisions of the chapter. First, because she represented that she had spoken to all of the 3 taxi operators in the village and that they wished to subscribe to her service. The applicant was not able to substantiate that representation, and the taxi operators who testified at the hearing denied that the applicant had spoken to them or that they would utilize the service. Hence, the board concludes that the applicant has been disingenuous in this regard and cannot conclude that the applicant is of good moral character. Secondly, by repeatedly driving with a suspended license or registration, the applicant has evidence of disregard of the law, which is particularly germane to the instant taxi application because the violations dealt with significant motor vehicle transgressions. Hence, the board cannot conclude that the applicant is of good moral character, is capable of providing taxi service in a safe and efficient manner, and is willing and able to comply with all of the requirements and provisions of the chapter. Third, by failing to attend the adjourned public hearings and by failing to provide information required by the village code and further information requested by the board, the applicant has evidence that she is unwilling and or unable to comply with all of the requirements and provisions of Chapter 248 of the village code. Wherefore, the Board of Trustees concludes the applicant has not complied with the requirements of Chapter 248 of the Code of the Village of Suffern, and further cannot find that the applicant is of good moral character, is capable of providing taxi service in a safe and efficient manner, and is willing and able to comply with all other requirements and provisions of this chapter. As a result, the application is denied.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Morris?
Yes.
Mr. Hagen?
Yes.
Mr. Markunas?
Yes.
Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
And I vote yes, motion is carried. Cell tower? Taking off, right? Okay. Police Department, Chief Osborne.
Okay, thank you, Mayor and Board. I'm just going to give you some quick numbers on our 2014 statistics to give you an idea of some of the activity. In 2014, we had 322 arrests. We were up about 10% from 2013. Vehicle and traffic summonses were, at this time, 1,734. That could go up a little bit. It takes about a week to go into our system from the state. So up about 22% from last year. Calls for service were pretty much the same, and actually it's only 15 off. We came in at 6,660, which is a pretty normal number. Parking summonses, we started calculating parking summonses with the parking authority January 25th when we were asked to do so. Since January 25th till this date, they've issued 977 parking summonses throughout the village. They were pretty busy and they did a good job. We also had a lot of community work going on. We had our tour drive. I want to thank all of you, many of you here helped us out. We helped out a ton of families locally this year. We had over 100 volunteers. And then we started, the day that ended, unfortunately, we had to start our shirt drive due to the deaths of the NYPD officers. And we anticipated selling maybe 500 shirts. I ordered 600. I thought I was going to be buying 100 myself. And we are now over 2,000 shirts still coming in. We had the state police come in today from Haverstraw. We had Haverstraw police come in. We had county departments from all over. Bergen coming in all day today. So the number just keeps going up. And our goal is to raise $20,000 profit. And we're pretty close right now to that. So I want to keep going. I want to thank the mayor, board members for helping us out. I want to thank every department. Mike, you guys have helped us out. Kathy at the center, and really, Mike, Janita, you guys, Charles, you've been lugging boxes of shirts back and forth. So everybody pretty much participated. This isn't just us, it's a huge community program. I think half the village has these shirts, if not more, from the village residents. So I just want to thank you guys.
Thank you, Clerk.
Oh, thanks, appreciate it. Thank you. All the proceeds are going to the families of the NYPD officers. So I just appreciate your support on that. And just one last thing, we trained 2 field training officers. Next year, in 2015, by the end of this year, I should say, when we hire a new officer, they're going to have to be riding with a certified field training officer. That is new from the state. We have 7 of them. We just trained 2 more this past month, Officer Kieran and Officer Yassin. So we're just trying to keep up on that with the new hires. So, and that's all I have, and I do appreciate the support. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Department of Public Works, Charles Sawicki.
Good evening, Mayor and the Board. The New York State DEC has requested an engineering report identifying engineering solutions to alleviate and correct any potential design deficiencies in the integral clarifier system at the wastewater treatment plant. 3 professional service proposals were submitted in response to an RFP. I am requesting authorization to accept the lowest cost proposal for this engineering report from Environmental Engineering and Management Associates, Inc., Cupsville, Pennsylvania. The cost of this proposal is $6,000, and the cost will be charged to the wastewater treatment plant capital projects account.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Yeah.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Morris?
Yes.
Mr. Hagen?
Yes.
Mr. Markunas?
Yes.
Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
And I vote yes, motion is carried.
Okay, that's it, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we will have audience participation. Please come to the microphone and state your name and address.
Good evening. My name is Jane Aronoff. I reside at 20 Burlington Avenue in Suffern. And I'm here because I understand that someone that was one of the judges that was appointed was not reappointed this year. And I just wonder why whoever decided this, when someone does their job and they do a good job and they're there and come out all the time, why that person would not be reappointed.
Anybody like to answer to that or not?
Well, I think, Mayor, you have, at the end of the agenda, you have some appointments,
I do.
so I think we can discuss it then.
Okay.
I just wanted to make my voice heard before I have to leave, so thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kristen Stavisky. I'm not going to give you my address because I don't live in Suffern. I'm actually here to read a letter from Alden Wolf, the chairman of the legislature. So, to the Suffern Village Board, I've known Stephanie Adwar for many years. As an attorney, I'm well acquainted with her as a colleague and have been impressed by her competence, intelligence, and sense of ethics, all qualities which have served her well as acting village justice. A delay in filling the position of acting village justice only serves to create an otherwise unnecessary burden on Justice Bonacore and hampers the administration of justice to Suffern's residents. There's a reason that Justice Bonacore, a Republican, had been named acting justice by a Democratic mayor and confirmed by a largely Democratic village board. And that is because public policy supports a justice system that transcends politics. I, for one, support the reappointment of Stephanie Adwar as acting village justice and encourage you to do the same. Sincerely, Alden Wolf, Chairman, Rockland County Legislature. And I will just add, as the chair of the Democratic Party, I never came in here kicking and screaming when Justice Bonacore was acting justice. That was the right thing to do. And I ask you tonight, don't do the political thing, do the right thing.
Kristen, do you have a copy of that for us? Just, okay, great, thanks. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Bob Burbridge, and I'm the property owner of 11 Dunnery Court in Suffern, as I have been for the last 30 years. I'd like to begin by expressing my sincere appreciation to Mayor Abato, former Deputy Mayor Corrigan, Assemblywoman Jaffe, the Village Board, and our emergency response officials for recognizing and being proactive concerning a very serious problem in our village, namely the flooding of the West Ward during severe storms, which potentially strand residents, hamper emergency response, create a negative impact on the business district, and limit access and use of our athletic facilities. The proposed emergency access road, however, will only resolve one of these problems, that is access for emergency vehicles. Residents will still find themselves stranded in their West Ward homes. Businesses in the village will continue to suffer, and the athletic facilities will remain inaccessible. Because we're not fixing the real problem. That is the flooding of the Chestnut Street underpass. To the mayor, the board, and the Department of Public Works, I respectfully ask, what periodic maintenance does the village perform, and how frequently is that maintenance performed to keep the existing storm drains clear, especially those on Chestnut Street? Additionally, I ask, has the village investigated what improvements can be made to permanently resolve the Chestnut Street flooding problem? Such permanent improvements would address all of the issues I've raised resulting from a severe storm. Again, with the results being unimpeded access to the West Ward for emergency response, the ability for residents to enter and exit the West Ward during flooding conditions, minimizing economic impact on the business district, and keeping our athletic facilities accessible. And such a permanent solution, in my opinion, would make the proposed emergency access road unnecessary. I implore you to dedicate your efforts, the resources of the village, and the grant funds already secured to the proper and permanent solution of this problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. And Ed, we will be scheduling that meeting probably sometime in February, once we have all, and we'll have all of that information as well. We're looking into all of that. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Scott Brown. I represent the Village of Suffern CSEA Unit 8369. I would like to welcome the new board members. For the past 8 years or so, the CSEA unit has had a good working relationship with the village, and I'm looking forward for this relationship to continue. After the election, there were rumors around town that the village was looking into selling the water department, sewer department, and contracting out the refuge department, and with additional layoffs. Mr. Morris and Markunas were good enough to come down to the street department garage and address these issues. They assured us at that time these were only rumors, and we were thankful to them for taking their time to address this matter. I am sure these are all put to rest. Your intentions are clear that these were only rumors, and I just at this time thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Hi, everybody. My name is Philip Landau. Last time I was in this room, it was playing the bass drum during Stars and Stripes, right up on the stage when I was in the 6th grade. So I've been around town for a while. I've been a landlord here since the early 80s. I own 2 properties in town, one at 158 Orange Avenue, one at 48 East Maltby. I'm here to support Stephanie's reappointment as judge. I've known Stephanie for years. I know her to be a sincere, hardworking, and honest broker. The fact that she's the first female judge in Suffern is significant and meaningful. I know of no credible suspicion of impropriety or lack of judgment on her part, so the board's failure to vote can only be political, which is a shame, particularly in light of her actual performance and her capacity as judge, which has been impeccable. Now, I can understand a Republican board not wanting to support a Democratic appointee. That's politics. But it seems to me that it would be more advantageous to pick an issue with a clear or clearer field division. In this case, you have virtually no supporters. 276 to 10 in a recent poll is a pretty clear mandate in support of Stephanie, no matter what you want to use as a margin of error. It's unfortunate that she may be collateral damage in what appears to be a petty political maneuver that has no community support. It's equally unfortunate that the operation of the town could be severely hampered with only one judge, so you can't possibly argue that you're acting in the best interest of the community by not approving her. I know you're well aware that Suffern was rated not one of, but the most stressed town in the state. How do you think it looks to the rest of the state and surrounding community by grandstanding in this manner? I can assure you it doesn't look good. So I urge you to take a sober look at yourselves and the message you're sending. I invite you to rise above this pettiness, approve Stephanie, and pick another issue to exercise your disagreement with the administration. Maybe one where you have more than 10 people supporting you and won't grind the town's business to a halt.
Hi, good evening. I'm Susan Golden, and I'm also a lifelong resident of the Village of Suffern, but for a 15-year period when I lived in Manhattan, and I'm also an attorney. And you are the village trustees, and the word trustee is there for a reason, the public trust. And you have a fiduciary duty to represent the best interests of this village and the people who live here, work here, and own businesses here. And the people you represent who care about this have overwhelmingly spoken out in favor of Ms. Adwar's reappointment tonight and also at the last board meeting. No one has come forward publicly and on the record to say she has handled the cases before her in any manner other than impartially, ethically, and within the law. Not reappointing her will cost the village money in terms of overtime, which will be incurred because Mr. Bonacore will have to sit late for longer calendars, and most importantly is a breach of the public trust for what appears to be strictly political motives. I think it's shameful that this matter has been tabled the last time, and I urge you to reconsider and reappoint her tonight.
My name is Jody Sipfer. I've lived here in the village of Suffern since 1993. I actually have, and I have 2 children left that are high school students. However, they do not attend Suffern High School. But I still live in Suffern because I love the village so much. I am ashamed and embarrassed for those people that sit on this board that will not reappoint Stephanie Adwar. I have known Stephanie since I began living here in 1993. She is hardworking, articulate, fair, and she looks out for the interest of others, not for the interest of herself. And she needs to be reappointed.
Charles Falsiglia, 14 Sagamore Avenue. I have 2 items to talk about. Back in early November, I believe it was the day prior to Veterans Day, I made a FOIL request to the village for certain documents pertaining to the village's purchase of 120 Orange Avenue. I didn't push the issue, and then, of course, the holidays have intervened, and I let it go, and 2 months have passed, and I have not received any of those documents. Part of the
It was approved, Charles.
well, it was approved, but I haven't received
Jenny?
anything. Now,
Okay.
Part-
I will get them to you.
part of the problem may have been I was very general in the FOIL request. So what I've done is I've written out a more concise list of what I'm looking for. If I can give it to,
I will take care of it.
I would hope I can get those in about 2 weeks. I think that's a reasonable time frame.
Definitely.
Terry, if there's anything on there that is going to take some time.
I mean, Ginny has to find the stuff, but
Yeah.
there's no reason why he can't have whatever she has.
Okay, I appreciate that. Also, I have a statement that I'll read into the record. I have known Stephanie Fergang Adwar, Stephanie, for quite some time. She is well respected in her profession and has had no complaints against her that I know of. She is extremely intelligent and eminently qualified for the position of village justice. I mean acting village justice. In fact, it is a step beneath that intelligence. While a resident of this village, she has remained apolitical, like Mr. Bonacore, honoring and embracing the spirit of the separation of the judiciary and executive branches of government. For anyone needing legal services, I would recommend her and Mr. Bonacore above any other attorney in Rockland County. Of the 7 people renominated for various positions at the village reorganization meeting last month, I personally would not have reappointed 2 of them, Stephanie not among them. But I have concrete reasons for those decisions, which I would have articulated to the Assembly. Not eyewash that a cop doesn't like her, which is the kind of hyperbole that the public views with contempt and disdain. Having dealt with David LaCourte for 2 years, I can directly testify how an innocuous disagreement between board members can sometimes accelerate into a full-scale riot, devolving into a test of wills punctuated with childish behavior from all involved. I would suggest the board, which answers to us, the public, reconsider her appointment. I would also recommend that the mayor appoint a deputy mayor for the remaining 10 months. Quite frankly, as a resident and former trustee, I personally could care less who the deputy mayor is. Respect and title are earned and cannot be given. I would call upon the person appointed to waive their additional $500 stipend in a show of good faith in respect to our current financial position. God save the Queen.
My name is Judge Alan Simon. I'm the town judge in the town of Ramapo and the village judge in the village of Spring Valley, having lived in both areas. In April of 2014, I had the good fortune of being given the additional assignment as the Suffern village judge, in charge, I guess, of filling in based upon an unfortunate incident. I had the pleasure of serving as your village judge until November of 2014. I'd like to thank you for allowing me to do this, and I'd like to report to you that I found that all of the people from the village acted in a professional and fine manner. The police department, as you know, is certified and became recertified during my tenure here. My experience with the police department showed that they are way above what is the standard and worked very hard to achieve a sense of justice for all of the community. And I became very proud of them and working here. I also had the opportunity of working with the building department. And as you hear, many villages have problems in their building department, and based upon that, their communities are wrought with a lack of inspections and fires and things of that nature. I'd like to report to you that you have really very talented and dedicated individuals working in your building department. They work very, very hard, and they are sensitive to human problems, but do not allow the people in this village to be at risk. And they rapidly bring these matters to the court, and I had the good fortune of being able to resolve many of them. I also would like to thank you for the way you treated me while I was here. You made me feel as part of your family. And it was one of the best experiences of my life. And I just have to thank you for allowing me to do this. I will make no comment in reference to your acting village judge because I'm a sitting judge and I am not permitted to make any comment in reference to politics. But I can say that the team that was in place worked very well together to service the village in a manner that they deserve to be serviced. Again, thank you very much.
Thank you. Judge Simon, I have to tell you that I received such wonderful, wonderful comments, and our staff is really missing you. You really just fit in like you've been here forever, and you were of great help to this village, and we totally appreciate that. He's a good man.
Jim Janatino, 2 Memorial. On a different topic, in the past, I've always asked, have we gone out and solicited grants for our wastewater treatment plant? Well, during tonight's discussion across the hall, I again asked our grant writer if he had put in for any grants for that project. And the way I understood his answer was, I was never given specific information that I could write a grant on. So I don't understand. The Clean Water Act has been around probably 20, 30 years. Why are we trying to get some of that money?
Mr. Vella, would you like to comment?
First of all, I'm quite surprised, Jim. I thought I was having a conversation with you, not for the entire public, but I guess I will know that from now on. But we were talking specifically about the Clear Water Act. I didn't put in for any grants specifically with the Clear Water Act, but we have done things through looking through like hazard mitigation grants, which we put in for 6 different grants this past year, which are still up in Albany, which range in everything from the water plant to helping with the Chestnut Street flooding, which a gentleman came up here and spoke about earlier, to the railroad crossing, going from Orange Avenue to the West Ward. So all the issues, I mean, I'm in touch with Charles, and we try to address things as quickly and best we can. Your comment to me was not about the sewer plant, it was specifically about the clear water grants. So that's it.
Thanks, Fred. And also, Fred, I should probably let the residents know that today you and I did have a conversation about actually working a little bit more with finding grants for the sewer plants.
Right.
As well as any other capital projects that we're working on in the village.
Right.
To
We just spoke about
keep a
that
little bit
today.
more, yeah.
Okay, well, you didn't say that.
Thank you, Fred.
Just hold the minutes. I'll change the tape.
Roy, just hang on 1 second, we got a tape change. You can go up, just, we have to wait for Virginia to pop it in. Okay, you go.
Go.
Hi, good evening. Roy Chudy, 16 Lonigan Drive. I'd like to wish the board and everybody here a happy and a healthy new year. Last month, I attended the Town of Ramapo's board meeting with the supervisor. In attendance was 2 of the trustees, Mr. Markunas and Frank, Mr. Hagen. And I had requested that some kind of a communication forum be established between the town and the village regarding the quarry site. The supervisor said he'd be more than happy and agreed that a meeting should be set up. And my question is has anybody reached out yet and
Yes.
set up a time and date?
No, we did not set a firm date up. We were waiting until after the holidays into the new year, but I spoke to Phil Tisi, and we will be setting up that meeting.
Wonderful.
And I will be there.
Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you.
Just so you know, Roy, I also reached out to the town today, and I was awaiting a response.
Yeah, they're working on it.
So it's definitely in motion.
Yes.
Well, that's appreciated. Second of all, I did also, I'm in contact a lot with Mr. Day, Ed Day, the county exec, and who informed me that the county did receive some funding from the state for municipalities and public works and of sort. I'm not exactly sure. I requested of him information if any of that money could be used for the quarry and the siphoning plan, which has been addressed many times over. He said he wasn't sure for me to get in contact with another individual whom I've already stated and has made statements that of negative ways that the homeowners of Squires Gate are at fault for buying there. So I let him know that I didn't think he'd be too interested in pursuing any help for us with that belief. He thanked me for that information, and again, I had requested if it would be okay if our village and the town would contact Mr. Day again, for information exchange, and he said that would be great.
Yeah, I actually spoke with him at the parade that he attended, and again, he asked that right after the first of the year, that we sit down and have a meeting to go over that and many other issues. And I'm going to be meeting with Clerk also to find some more opportunities for monies that have come in through the county executive's office. So they are very much willing to sit down with us and help us in any way they can. So that will also be happening within the next couple of weeks.
Well, that's wonderful, because, you know, there has been a very poor communicative effort between the town, the village, the county, for whatever reasons. And again, the taxpayer, the citizen, is the one who ends up being held hostage for whatever is going on with on the political process.
Roy, I have to tell you that the county and the village of Suffern have, since I've been mayor, we have been very much in communication. Executive Day has been very helpful in any way that he can be, and we have been in touch with each other, and we are working together. So I can't tell you that there's been any breakdown of communication with the county. Unfortunately, as I have stated on numerous occasions, that we have reached our hand out to the town of Ramapo. We have sent letters, numerous letters, and all fell on deaf ears. There is a lot of staff up there that is also, having a hard time with the fact that there's not a good communication. I'm hoping that this will be the first step. My door is always open. My phone is always ready to accept a phone call from the supervisor to work with him. That has been, I think, not only previous boards, but this board's intention is to have a good working relationship with our town. And I will stand by that. So
Okay.
I'm hoping, our doors
I'm
open,
sure
we'll extend our hand.
Mr. Markunas and Mr. Hagen will also agree that they were very open at that meeting to establishing a good communication and a meeting. In fact, the supervisor said he'd be glad to even televise it if need be.
And I hope that happens, Roy, because we've been told that on so many different occasions, and it's just never surfaced. So
Okay.
let's go forward, 2015.
And lastly, I'd like to ask regarding the Donna Hallett Park, once again, has it been addressed about the debris that has been thrown over from the other side of, I believe it's Hillside, onto the riverbank, which is slowly now getting closer and closer into the water, which we all know will help dam up the area? And I'm talking about old decks that have been thrown over, trees that are cut down and been thrown over, and other debris, whereas it's, even they've dug up their driveways and thrown asphalt over. And the last time I looked, Mother Earth doesn't grow asphalt.
No.
So, I would like to have that addressed in some form, some way. I certainly don't want to see anybody with a fine, but it should be cleaned up. It's an eyesore, and it's also presents a danger.
Right. What we're working on now, Roy, is we're going to be preparing a letter that's going to be sent to all the residents that live on that portion of that side of the river to remind them of the village code. As far as what's come down onto the bank, we're going to have to look into how much of that they are responsible for. And find a way. The problem is getting to it. Joe Hunt has tried to think of ways that we could go across, but we can't do that because we're not allowed to. But we are trying to establish possibly an entranceway of one of the homeowners, if in fact they are not responsible, and we can't have them clean it up. If there's any way that we can get through one of those properties to try to get down there, to try to get some of that stuff out of there. So we are working on it. It's just figuring out the logistics of the whole process.
Yeah, well,
And obviously
they should
now-
be accountable for it.
Right, and it's going to be not, I can promise you, or I'm not going to lie to you, it's not going to be until the spring that anything
Well, I
is-
understand that.
Right.
That certainly makes
But
sense.
we are definitely working on a way to get that. Joe has been working really hard on trying to figure out a way to get all of that debris out of there.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Roy.
Andrew Halper, 64 Lonergan Drive. I wanted to thank you for giving me a minute to speak to you tonight. I'm here to tell you that I've been a friend of Stephanie since we were in high school, and I've had the pleasure of knowing her and watching her family, and she the same as mine, and tonight she got to see my son was one of the firemen who had gone up to Buffalo. So my younger son had been in the audience earlier tonight, but unfortunately he had some homework that he had to take care of, so I had to run him home. But when we were discussing what was going on and how the government of our town works, the first thing I was able to remind him of was that all the people whose faces he saw on the flyers that were in our mailbox and the people that knocked on our door all promised us that by electing you, you'd make our lives somehow better. I have no way to explain to him how removing Stephanie from the position she was in any way, shape, or form, due to no actions of her own, made our village any better. So all I really wanted to do was to remind you of what you told us, was that you were going to make lives better here. And if you have some defense for how this decision made anybody's life better, that's all I would want to hold you accountable for. If not, we'll see somebody else the next time around. But I thank you for your time, and you should reconsider this.
Hi, Jean Hennelly, 135 Wayne Avenue. I have a question regarding what you need to do to pre-treat the streets. What criteria do you go by? Because I'm very surprised.
You're talking about the brine?
The brine, yes. I haven't seen any yet this year placed on the roads.
Sure, Charles.
And tomorrow is supposed to be a bit slick, and later in the week, and the temperatures aren't supposed to rise. So.
Well, we do apply a brine mix to the roadways, generally speaking. It is not very effective if we are going to have a rain, sleet type event. It's most effective when it's very, very cold. We're in the midst of having an equipment issue where we do have a smaller tank available that we do apply brine. So I mean, it is something that we do on a regular basis.
I just haven't seen it this year.
Yeah, well,
Last year you guys were on top of it.
well, last year was a little bit different every year as well. It was much colder last year. This year we've had a lot of big swings in temperatures, so it's like I said, it's a lot less effective when it's wet.
It's funny, Gene, because I think Joe was so sick of answering that question to me, because I keep saying to him, why didn't you put the brine down? And he's like, because it's going to rain first, and it doesn't work if it's going to rain. It washes it away, and
Because I just see on Wayne Avenue, like right at the border, it's
They
it's
did
all
put the
lined
brine
up,
down,
and,
yeah.
And the
I
other
should see
day
it.
it was very slick on 50. It was bad, and I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, but and
Hopefully
also
nothing.
I received my solid waste bill in the mail, and once again it's gone up, and I just hope this next budget that you guys don't try to push off to the residents. You just try to save, pinch your pennies instead of, making us pay extra for, extra work. So, anyway, thank you. Have a Happy New Year.
Thank you, same to you.
Hi, I'm Debbie Tapp. I'm over on Oakdale Manor. My first question is, what's happening with our taxi medallions?
Nothing at this point, to be honest with you. We have been out there trying to enforce the taxes legal as much as we can. Due to manpower issues, we have not done much.
No, I think she's asking about the medallions, Clark.
Medallions have not been brought up, obviously the holidays, people are out, we'll bring it up, obviously. soon.
I thought we agreed we were having the medallions made for the
We
cabs.
discussed, but no, we never, I don't think we agreed, so I'll be honest, I don't think we ever looked into it.
Yeah, I think we did agree to it.
Problem, I just didn't know we were supposed to do it now.
Yeah.
Okay, because we're still having problems, and we're still, well, there's some people that are making a lot of money. Some of us aren't. That's what I've been told is going to make the difference, so that's what I'm pushing. My other question, or my other thing that I want to bring up, I had something to say tonight, but we're really running late, so I'm going to shut up tonight. And I would like to be put on the agenda for next meeting, because I have been learning about what is called the Washington-Rochambeau Revolutionary Route. Hey, our history in this village is our future, and there's money out there to help us rebuild our village, and there's ways to earn money for us, and which is what it all comes down to. We also have a beautiful village that has quite a history. Many of you are living in houses that are historic. Washington was here. We need to plan ahead, too.
Thanks,
We can
Debbie.
put me on the-
I want to thank you for reaching out to Fred Rella. He did tell me that you reached out to him, and that's great. It's always good to have people who are, interested in the history of the village, and, it's funny that you're bringing this up, because I had just met with Fred with regards to, obviously, I'm sure you all saw the barriers around the building, and we had some issues here with our cornices on the roof of Village Hall, and so we have some money that's going to need to be spent on Village Hall restoring it. So Fred is out there looking for some money, because obviously our building is probably falls within the criteria of some of these grants. So any assistance that you could offer us, we'd be happy to have.
I'm learning, and history
Great.
was never my thing.
See? It's never too late. They say it's never
getting
too
to
late.
be. So anyway, if we can put me on the agenda, I'll keep my mouth shut
You
till
know
then.
what, if you come to the workshop.
Oh.
Yeah, come to the workshop.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we will move along. Village Clerk.
We have minutes to approve, Mayor. First one is to approve the minutes of July 14, 2014.
So moved.
Matt?
Second.
Frank?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Assuming the new members couldn't vote on that, right?
That's right.
That's correct.
And they are
Actually, you
voting.
know what?
You have to vote now.
Oh, yeah, Frank is here. Me, Frank, and,
Yeah,
right,
second.
the new ones.
You
Okay,
didn't
go
have a
ahead.
problem with the next one. We were both missing at the next meeting.
Who was?
We both were, according to the minutes, yeah.
Okay, so they just don't get approved.
Yeah, that's all.
Okay, all right, we'll skip that one. Approval of the minutes of the special board meeting of September the 3rd, 2014.
Let me just make sure.
That's me and you both. And
So
Frank.
moved.
I was here.
Yeah.
All right, so I move it.
We have a move, you have a second?
Second.
All in
yeah.
favor?
Aye.
Okay, so moved.
All right. All right, the next one is set a date for the Walk to Remember. This Walk to Remember is dedicated to the babies who have died during pregnancy or as newborns. This goes on every year, and...
Do they have a date?
Yes, October the 4th, 2015.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it, Mayor.
Finance Department, Mike Janito.
Thank you, Mayor. At the March 2014 meeting, the Village Board awarded bids for a fire rescue extrication tool and a walk-around fire rescue truck. The fire rescue extrication tool has arrived. The fire department has received it and determined that it's in new and good condition, and we are therefore recommending a resolution to accept the fire extrication tool.
Resolution number 2.
Resolution number 2 for the motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Morris?
Yes.
Mr. Hagen?
Yes.
Mr. Markunas?
Yes.
Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
And I vote yes, motion is carried.
Also, at the meeting of February of 2014, the Village Board had adopted a resolution that would accept the financing for these fire equipment, that is the rescue truck and the extrication tool, through an installment purchase contract. As part of the state law requirements, we had to go out and bid for that installment purchase contract with various leasing companies. We sent a request for sealed proposals to 6 different firms. We received 3 back. We are recommending 911 Leasing as the award for that RFP.
And then the lowest complying bidder.
I'm sorry?
And then the lowest complying bidder.
Yes, the lowest complying bidder.
Do we have to choose between there's various financing options here?
No, we're recommending the
That company.
15-year option.
This would be resolution number 3.
And you just want to give us a little summation
Sure,
if you don't mind,
they
of why the
based-
15-year is better than the others?
Yes, they proposed a 10, a 12, and a 15-year option. And while the interest rate itself obviously would be lower with a 10 or 12-year, the fire truck itself would last 20 to 25 years. And typically, if you were going to bond this, you would typically bond it for 15 to 20 years. And likewise, that also the annual debt service payments, while the overall payments for the life would be higher, the annual debt service payments would be lower. And as you know, financially at the moment, we're in a more stressful situation than one would want to be. But nonetheless, it still provides a benefit over the next 15 years, this fire truck, so it's perfectly appropriate, and that's why we're recommending it.
So it is about $80,000 more over time in terms of finance charges.
That is correct.
But is it, I don't want to put words in your mouth, is it a cash flow concern?
It's a cash flow and what they would call an intergenerational equity concern, which means that the residents that are living today should be paying for the benefits they are receiving from the assets of the village today, and the residents that are here 15 years from now, when the truck is still here, should as well be paying for part of that truck.
And providing certificate insurance.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Make a motion to adopt it?
I don't know if anyone else has any comments.
Okay.
Okay. So I would need a motion, for resolution number 3.
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Morris?
Yes.
Mr. Hagen?
Yes.
Mr. Markunas?
Yes.
Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
The third item that we have on the agenda for the Finance Treasurer's Office is an adoption of a fund balance policy. In normal situations, you normally don't have to have a resolution to assist in the compliance with generally accepted accounting principles. But the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, which is the standard-setting body for accounting and financial reporting for state and local governments, has passed statement number 54, which requires that a governing board such as yourselves adopt a fund balance policy. Essentially, what the policy does is a couple of things. Number one, it would specify how you would spend the various categories of money you would have. So you have money that is restricted, for instance, by grants or debt, and then you also have money that's unrestricted, such as money you've raised by taxes or fees. And our recommended policy would be that you would use your restricted money first, and then your unrestricted money after that. So, for instance, if you had something funded by both a grant and some money from your taxes, you would want to use the money from the grant first to pay for as much of the item that you could before having to use the residents' money here for taxes. So that's one part of the fund balance policy. The other part is that there's a category that they've created called assignment of fund balance. And basically what this is where the village board would want to set aside some money for a purpose for which they could pull that money away later on. For instance, if they wanted to put $10,000 aside for a particular recreation purpose and later on decided that they no longer wanted to do that, they could unassign that money. Likewise, it's typically recommended that you have one other official that would be able to assign money, such as the village treasurer, for things that are more ministerial, things like encumbrances, purchase orders that you have at the end of the year that you would typically assign. You don't have to bring those to the board to have it done. Likewise, there's other accounting changes that come aboard where the assignment of monies is typically a process more of a ministerial nature than it is of something where an intent of the village board. So that's what our recommended fund balance policy, which is very similar to those adopted by other municipalities.
Okay, do I need a motion?
Motion to adopt?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Morris?
Yes.
Mr. Hagen?
Yes.
Mr. Markunas?
Yes.
Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Thank you.
Resolution number 4.
Thank you. Okay, moving along. On the agenda again. I just buried. Okay,
Got it?
yes. It has been brought to our attention by a village resident questioning the village's practice of the snow plowing and lawn mowing at the American Legion Post here in Suffern. In looking into this complaint, we went back quite far, decades, to see if there was anything that was written, anything that was signed. It was so long ago that we truly can't find anything. But because the resident did complain about it, we had to look into it. I received numerous phone calls from the American Legion, very upset, very worried about this, as it's been a practice at the village for many, many years. I spoke to our village attorney to find a way that we could continue, as the American Legion has been a very good neighbor to us and has offered their services and their building to us on many occasions. So we came up with an agreement whereas the American Legion would agree to allow the Village of Suffern to use their building at no charge, and also they will agree to serve as an emergency shelter for the Village of Suffern in exchange for the snow plowing and grass mowing, which is not very much, to continue as it has been for many, many, many years. As Virginia said, back to Mr. Fagan, the first Mr. Fagan, as Matt said. Right. Yeah. So I have the agreement. You have all had a chance to look it over. Of course, it would still have to go, after we agree to it, it will have to go to the American Legion, to their board, for their approval. But this would alleviate any confusion going forward with this service to our veterans. So do I have a motion?
Make a motion?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Morris?
Yes.
Mr. Hagen?
Yes.
Mr. Markunas?
Yes.
Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
And I vote yes, motion is carried. We have received a letter from Anthony and Son Maintenance Incorporated regarding Bon Air Park, specifically with regard to the main entrance to Bon Air Park and the islands, which is a focal point to the entrance of Bon Air. Unfortunately, although somebody has to talk to somebody. It seems that this portion of Bon Air, these islands, frequently become overgrown with debris and weeds and so on and so forth. Anthony and Son Maintenance has been a proud business owner and also a maintenance company within the Bon Air complexes. And he, as a gift, would like to maintain and clean the debris regularly, keeping it weed-free, and to work with the village to install, approved by our DPW supervisor. Okay. Somebody needs to talk to you. Approved plantings, approved planting design there, and so he can enhance and beautify this area. And he is not looking for any compensation for this. He would simply like to do it as a gift to the village. So I need a motion to accept the gift.
Motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it, yeah.
Okay, and that will be within the terms of that. Anthony and Son Maintenance Incorporated will be working with Charles Sawicki for approvals for any plantings or landscaping, et cetera.
Terry, we had mentioned in the workshop some concern perhaps about insurance.
Oh, yeah, and yes, he will provide a certificate of insurance, yes.
Additional named insured.
Absolutely. Okay, I have a motion and I have a second. Under those conditions, who made the motion?
Who made the motion?
Who made the motion?
Oh, Robert? Mr. Morris.
Mr. Morris? Okay, so under those conditions, those terms and
Yes.
conditions, you'll make the motion, okay? And I have a second?
Yes.
That was-
Okay. Mr. Morris? Yes. Mr. Hagen?
Yes.
Mr. Markunas?
Yes.
Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Motion is carried. Charles, I will give this to you. You can contact Anthony Cafiso and set this up. Thank you. Okay, I know some of you may be here with regards to the buyout program in Lonigan Drive. At the workshop, the board has decided that we will be setting up a meeting with the Lonigan Drive residents. We feel it's very important to have them a vital part of this decision. Therefore, we would like to hear from them to see what the interest may be of the residents in that area and get some input from them. We will also be reaching out for a little bit more information of concern from the trustees. The program will be closing at the end of January, so time is of the essence. So we will be working very hard over the next couple of weeks to come up with a conclusion on how we will go forward with the buyout program. So those of you who are here from Lonigan Drive will be hearing from us shortly with regards to a meeting date.
You're saying Lonigan Drive.
And Temple, and I'm Squires Gate. I should be saying, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Thank you for putting me there. Yes, Squires Gate. I'm very sorry. Yeah, so we will be setting up that meeting sooner rather than later because we were just informed that the program will be closed at the end of January. Okay. Last but not least, I have some appointments I would like to make.
Can I interrupt? I'm not
Sure.
clear why we're skipping the trustees, and we did ask you to go to executive session.
Oh, we're going to go into executive session, but I'm not going to keep...
Skip the trustees.
Because we don't, typically when we go into executive session, we finish our business, and so we don't hold the public here. And then we go into executive session. So, and we have other things we need to go into executive session for personnel. So we are going into executive session.
You want to finish this off first and then go into your appointment?
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot the building department's, yes. The building department is requesting to go to training. They need to have so many credits of training per year. They are looking to go to a training seminar. And I just, here it is, thank you. Which would be 3 full days of classes, Tuesday, April 28th through Thursday, April 30th. The cost of the classes will be $275 per registration.
A total of $1,100.
A total of $1,100.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Yes, second. This is a required training they have to do to keep their position.
They have to do so many credits.
Right.
This will fulfill some of those credits, correct?
I'll second it.
Second, okay. Okay. Mr. Morris?
Yes.
Mr. Hagen?
Yes.
Mr. Markunas?
Yes.
Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
And I vote yes, motion is carried. Okay, before I make these appointments, I did receive 2 emails, which have been titled to be read at the board meeting. Dear Ms. Mayor, I truly regret that I cannot attend the board meeting in person. I ask that my remarks be read and entered into record, if possible. To the members of the village board, I am writing to endorse Stephanie Adwar as Assistant Village Justice, and I suggest that you not delay action on this vote further. Our village needs a full staff of judicial officers to ensure our courts serve the people in a timely fashion. Delaying a vote due to action or inaction or another appointment does not serve our community well. On the subject of Judge Adwar, I have served on committees at our temple with Stephanie, and I know her to be a good listener and an interpreter of rules and laws. I have heard her speak to our school board, and I know that she keeps the interests of our community in mind at all times. Most importantly, even though we have known each other for years from our children's and spouses' interactions, I know that no ties of friendship would prevent justice from being done. I believe that Stephanie Adwar will judge each person who appears in her courtroom and families with the proper respect and the laws of our village, town, state, and country. She has shown herself knowledgeable in these laws and is the proper choice to our village. Please do not delay in making the appointment. Thank you. Howard Greenstein, 3 Burlington Avenue, Suffern, New York. I also have another letter which was asked to be read at the meeting. Dear Mayor Abato, I am writing this letter in support of the reappointment of Stephanie Furgang Adwar, the position of acting village justice. Like Stephanie, I have been moved to Suffern at the age of 3 and resided here until graduating the law school. About 10 years ago, I moved back to Suffern with my wife. I don't know what that says. Stephanie and I grew up in the same neighborhood and a couple of blocks apart, and we are now neighbors on the same street. Having known Stephanie, I can say without reservation that I fully trust in her intelligence, commitment, and integrity to perform her duties as acting village justice with distinction. I urge the village trustees, oh, I see what happened. I cut some of this off. Well, okay. Suffern Village Board failed to confirm her reappointment. In failing to reappoint Stephanie, the board risks both overburdening the village. I am puzzled and disappointed that the board withheld Stephanie's confirmation. On behalf of myself, my wife Deborah, I urge the trustees of the village board to confirm the reappointment of Stephanie Furgang Adwar. Thank you. Regards, Spencer Stein, Goldfarb and Fleece, 560 Lexington Avenue, New York, New York. Okay, on to the appointments. Okay, for the Zoning Board of Appeals, a 5-year member term, Charles Byrne.
Is this a recently occurring vacancy, or?
No.
This
it's
is
a 5-year term.
5-year term.
It just, this term came up.
Came up since reorganization?
Yes, December the 1st.
Okay, that is a holdover. Chairman, 1-year term, Henry Sussman. Okay, that will be a holdover. Alternate 2-year term, David Hamilton. That will also be a holdover. Planning Board, 5-year term member, Paul Stambridge. Holdover. Chairman, 1-year term, Paul Gdansky. That will be a holdover. Board of Ethics, 5-year term member, Deborah Schoenlieber. Holdover. Chairman of the Board of Ethics, 1-year term, Jonathan Theodore. That will be a holdover. Village Attorney, 1-year term, Terry Rice.
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. I'm sorry? One no? Okay, I have one opposed. Acting Village Justice, 1-year term, Stephanie Furgang Adwar.
Mayor, may I be heard?
Sure.
I came to the meeting tonight knowing in advance what I was going to do. I don't know how my fellow board members feel about this. Some might say you should get the appointment because you sat through the meeting from 7:30 till now. That shows stamina, and you need a lot of stamina to work across the hall. I knew what I was going to do because I think we need to move past this issue with the court. That court has a special place for me because I sat there for 16 years, and I know a little bit about what goes on across the hall. And a lot of people came tonight in support of you. That's beautiful. I think that's wonderful. You know, it shows that from the things that have been read into the minutes and shows about your character. This has never been a personal matter. I can attest, for me personally, it was never anything about Judge Adwar's abilities. I've appeared before you, Judge. Always found you to be, in fact, impeccable. Is that the right word? Not the way you're dressed, but that too, I'm sure. We've all benefited from what goes on across the hall. We had a tough year in the court, and Judge Simon, who is here, really picked up in what he had to do and jumped in to a court that was suffering, and not because of anything that anyone on the staff there did, of course. The most hardworking people, everyone here is hardworking, so don't take this the wrong way, but the women that work across in the court are extremely hardworking people. You brought your contingent with you tonight, and that's good too. I can tell you that I knew what I was going to do in advance, but still like to hear what I heard. Part of the problem might be that Judge Bonacore didn't have that same contingent. People mentioned about how wonderful he was and that the prior mayor appointed him. Well, he also unappointed him, if you will. He did not reappoint him, and I'm not aware of any explanation that was ever given. He was replaced by somebody, by Judge Adwar, and I wasn't certainly privy to that appointment, but I never heard anything against Judge Bonacour. In fact, the voters of Suffern overwhelmingly elected him in the last election, so they saw something in him as well. But he didn't have the contingent of supporters who came to a board meeting and said this is not fair. But we need to move past that too, and that's not your fault, obviously. You had nothing to do with that. You accepted an appointment that you were given by the prior mayor. But I don't know. I don't believe anyone on the board at the time when he was replaced objected or raised issues or questioned why we're tinkering with the court. But again, we have to move past that. This village has a lot of problems. Most of them are financial. A lot of issues to take care of, and I don't want to get mired up in the issue of the appointment of the acting judge. I would also like to say that when I was judge, 16 years across the hall, I had a few acting judges over the time, and I had one that came to court once a month, but then lived out of state essentially the rest of the year. No one objected, no one raised concerns, no one. I didn't have the same contingent you did either to come and object, because I essentially had no backup. I had no backup except when he came for court once a month. And that's not right. The court needs to be fully staffed. This is a mayoral appointment subject to board approval, and I understand that. There are 4 members of one party, there's 1 of the other. We can argue, you saw some other appointments that are holdovers. Your position doesn't have that benefit of being a holdover, meaning that they continue in the position, even if they're not reappointed. You don't have that, but the position doesn't have that benefit, and therefore you don't have that benefit. I also, you have to filter what you hear when people might say, make objections to one person, whether it's you or me when I was judge. I used to think that, sometimes the police, all due respect, Clerk, thought I was too easy. Defendants thought I was too hard. I knew I was doing something right at the end of the day, because you're probably doing something right if you're getting everyone a little upset once in a while. So there's judicial discretion, and you have the right to run your court as any judge does and make those decisions with the confines of the law, and I'm confident that you can do that. We need to move past this. We need to make it not appear or be a political issue. So because we have so many other issues of concern, I move the appointment of Judge Adwar.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Congratulations.
Welcome back. Okay, and last but not least, at the last board meeting, I did not appoint a deputy mayor. I told you all that I had some considering to do. This has weighed very heavily on me. I had to take a lot of things into consideration. And tonight, I am very happy to announce that I have reached a decision, and I would like to appoint Frank Hagen as my deputy mayor.
Frank Hagen would like to decline. Thank you, respectfully.
Okay. Frank Hagen is declining. So
Can I say something?
Sure.
I'd like to recommend Ed Markunas. I'm sure he can do the job.
Okay. I'm going to have to take some more time to obviously think this over. So I did not expect this, and I will, again, take this under consideration and advisement. Before you go, we are going to need to go into executive session, but I really, truly wanted to close this meeting in memory of someone who we lost this week, who is nothing more than a gentleman, has made such an amazing impact on so many children's lives. There's just not enough good words for a very, very good man. So tonight I would like to, when appropriate, and I know you will all probably leave as we go into executive session, But I will be closing this meeting in memory of Mickey DeSimone, who is so sorely missed already. He's just such an amazing man. Suffern High School will miss him. He was a phenomenal guidance counselor, gave children so much hope and so much love. An amazing coach, gave them all the foundations to go out there and know that there's no I in team, and he will be sorely missed. So in his honor tonight and his memory, I will close this meeting when appropriate.